Madonna? Did
What?
Madonna ever really leave?
No, she just got really wrinkly.
Like a stream song, sung for the very first time.
We've been live for several minutes now, just so you know.
Good. Good.
Oh,
The world deserves to hear this.
Okay. Welcome back, everyone, to The Shield Against Midnight, a Call of Cthulhu game set in 1969. It's been... I got that stupid fucking song stuck in my head. I just completely fucked myself. It's been 2 weeks since last we got together. And I've completely lost my focus now because of that. Dear God. No, not that song. It's been 1 week since you lit. That's the song. Also, I've got you guys on the wrong page. I just realized that. I'm sorry.
Oh fuck! I was gonna make you a. Damn it! I forgot.
It's all right. Anyways, during our last session, we concluded Season 2 of The Shield Against Midnight, in which our party, operating under false pretenses with little to no intelligence and improper equipment, embarked upon a journey to South Vietnam, where they conducted a dangerous observation gathering mission on the South Vietnamese island of Phu Quoc. There they uncovered a coven of Deep Ones and Deep One hybrids, as well as foreign agents working for the mysterious UWM. While they weren't directly clear on how these two were related, they did uncover a grimoire, a magical dagger that has now been bound to 2 members of the party, as well as retrieving a tremendous amount of intelligence relating to the presence of the Deep Ones nearby and the related UWM agents. Their mission, for all intents and purposes, was immensely successful despite the hardships initially posed by their logistics. And as a result, they've finally been given a well-deserved break. After a long flight home, more or less everyone would be able to go their separate ways for the time being. But before we get to that, there are a few questions we need to ask, as one of our members was not here for that last session. Namely, Mr. Dan.
That's not my character's name.
It's not your character's name. Miss Parvana. Actually, Miss Kadavar.
Parvy, if you're nasty.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Oh. Anyways, since you weren't here last week, there was a big fight between your liaison, Agent Hutchinson, and the rest of the party. But during that time, you also would have been asked to hand over all the intelligence you gathered. Obviously, the dagger could not be handed over. Gwen took possession of the dagger at the end of that session. But I have to ask you, since the grimoire was in your possession, and that was not explicitly reported to Agent Hutchinson, would you hand that over as part of the intelligence? Or would you keep that for your own personal use?
I think she's going to keep it.
So she would have kept it to, instead of handing it over with the rest of the mission intelligence. Okay. Then also, last session, Chase made the dramatic statement that sometimes the best way to show that you're willing to walk out on a deal is to walk out on a deal before leaving the party. How would Parvana respond to that?
Right. That would be, so he has officially left the party. Is that it?
More or less.
Officially, Chase walked out of the hangar.
Yes.
He kind of expected everyone else to follow. As far as we know, no one else followed, so in
Yep.
that
What
sense,
do you mean
yes.
Sage followed?
No, you
I
didn't.
don't remember that.
You did not.
Yeah.
No, I didn't.
No, it's kind of at this point. I mean, she didn't hand over that intel. She's gonna follow with Chase.
Okay.
They're kind of. There's not too many people she has left in this world, as funny as it is. And it's a ridiculous amount to go through with a person between Germany and Vietnam.
Well then. It is the day after your grand escape from Phu Quoc, that nice helicopter ride back to Da Nang. You are on the airbase with the sun starting to rise in the distance as the two of you walk out on the meeting with Hutchinson, just fed up with the nonsense he'd been trying to force down each of your throats. Is there anything you'd like to say to each other now that you've walked out?
Out of character? I don't know. Simply because I had expected Chase just kind of walked away.
We just keep repeatedly fucking over the plans he
Yeah.
has for how Chase is behaving.
I
have to imagine it depends on if Parvana would have made a public statement or if she had just followed.
Man, I wish this week didn't go to hell so I had more time to prepare.
Sorry.
No, she pretty much would have just stood up and looked and followed him out. And when she left, and there'd be pretty much enough out of earshot, she'd go, so is this it?
Chase would kind of turn around with a start. There's definitely anger just flowing out of him, but he is really shocked to see Parvana behind him. I mean, the first kind of it just hit the anger would have just literally melt out of his eyes as he turned around and saw her and not Hutchinson or Lakowski or some other goon, and just say, I don't know, but we're all gonna die if we keep following him.
You were much more comfortable with dying before death became more horrible.
I'm not afraid of death, but I'm not gonna waste it. Especially for someone who's just gonna use us up and spit us out. That's not what I signed up for. I've been okay with the thought of my death, dying on a mission, some hellhole, tortured to death, so be it. But I always imagined the root cause would be for something worthwhile. Not because some selfish, stuck-up former spook with carte blanche has no motivation to give us the info we need.
The unfortunate thing is that with no information last time, we were incredibly effective. More effective than it looks like they've been in a while.
We were lucky. Plainly put. There's no reason that we should have come out on top the way we did. Look at what we had, the people we had, the backgrounds they have. There's no reason we should have survived. So, yeah, we did it. We did a damn good job of it. But I don't count my luck good enough to do that again. Not with him. Not if he's going to treat us the way he wants to treat us. We're just assets to him. I mean, most of the party's pretty highly trained, and that's great, but we're disposable completely to him. Not even the way that the agency treated us or jokingly called us disposable. We truly are disposable to him. This wasn't some crucible, some proving. He knew what we could do. He brought us along because we had first-hand knowledge. That's it. He had no cares if we had survived or not. And it shows. He wants to push us to the next mission. Says, okay, fine, you can have some family time. Okay, fine, you can go back to where you want to go. But that's appeasement. It's not in any way, shape, or form advancement. How are we supposed to even get in line with what he wants done when he treats us as disposable like that? What would he do if he found out that you can do what you do? He made very specific statements that he would that he is much more in line with destroying such people. Do you think it's safest to stay with him? If you leave now, do you think you're safe out there?
No, it's not safe out there. It's at that point it would be making an enemy on top of having made an enemy that is unfathomable to us right now.
I'm not afraid of Hutchinson. If this was some kind of strange crucible of fire, they'll come find me when it's time. But there's no way I'm serving under him. I'm not sure if it's ego, delusion, zealotism. You tell me. But he is just going to continue throwing us against the wall and hoping that we all stick. I'm going to tell you right now, I don't think all of us are going to stick next time. I'm not going to, as the person in charge of those missions, accept that. Loss is one thing. Loss because your superior officer is an idiot is another.
And I understand I don't agree with what he's doing. I think that at this point, we need more information than we've been given. I see that we are going to end up in the exact same situation where we make a call based on incomplete information and end up to our necks again. But right now, he's the one connection we have to the only people who have information on this, unless we turn elsewhere. And if we turn elsewhere, we'll be hunted by both this organization and God knows what else.
I don't think it's that complicated. But I think it may be best if you stay. I think if you can keep the knowledge that you have away from him, you might actually have the ace in the hole that you need to be successful. I don't have that. I don't have the inclination to learn it either. If you leave, they really will start looking into you.
And I know this. And this is why I know that when I came out, I couldn't go much farther here with you. And I knew, knowing what I knew about you and knowing that conversation we had in Berlin, have a bag packed, be ready to go, I wouldn't be able to talk you out of this. This isn't me making an attempt to get you to play nice with Hutchinson. This is me asking, do you need me to run any interference? What can I do to help you stay safe?
Don't worry about me. I think I think if you really want to go down this path, this knowing what you know, and God help you, you are braver than I. I think Hutchinson may be your best bet. He's got a blind spot. Really huge blind spot. And it's named Gwyn. And Hutchinson is going to put all his rage that way. If you can use that, I think you might be able to be powerful and smart enough to outmaneuver him in the long run. Me, I'm just going to get out of the way. I think a little time, somewhere quiet, I think I'll be just fine. I can handle myself, you know that.
I know you can.
Worst case scenario, I guess I end up working a desk job. That's not so bad. A little boring. But I got some good stories.
And good pictures.
Chase coughs audibly and a little embarrassed. That I do. Listen, I'll stay in touch, but I think it's best if you go back. Besides, I don't know if I trust anyone else to run that group.
No, I'm still gonna keep my eye out. You do know more than what they'd like to get out of there. Even if you have a desk job, it's so that you can be watched every moment for the rest of your life.
Well, I hope they got a seat cushion. Because I was boring before I was a CIA agent.
And I hope you can be incredibly boring now.
Chase just kind of does a little half salute, jokingly, but smiles, kind of a sad smile, and turns to walk away.
Chase,
He stops.
I made the choice that one way or the other will destroy me in the end. I just hope I can do some good with it before it comes to that.
Our choices always destroy us, Parvana. That's all you can do. Do the best you can. Don't go too far down that path till you're ready. Take it slow. You know what a good limit is. But don't let Hutchinson talk you into anything too dark.
No. Goodbye, Chase.
I'll see you around, Parvana.
And she kind of gives the same nod and half smile and turns to walk back to the office or hangar they were in.
By the time you've gotten back there, Hutchinson will have already gone with all the intelligence that you had handed over. And as I was saying earlier, then it would be a long, boring flight back to the States. One of you would have some family waiting for you at landing. Your father, Miss Gwen, would be on the ground in New York to pick you up and give you a big ol' squeeze. You would have lots to talk about. For the rest of you, though, well, for all of you, truly, you've got a month off, and this is what's going to become our rest session. Which means it's time to talk about what you're going to do during your month off, how you're going to spend your time, and how you're going to spend your gold coins. So, to keep things organized, we're going to start at the top of the list. And we're also going to skip Jay because I know how Jay is going to spend most of his gold coins. So you're going to go to the bottom, Jay. But at the top, because this list is fucked and doesn't have actually anything in alphabetical order, Sage, you have 9 gold coins. Now, this is going to be the big reminder for everyone. With your rest session, you can dedicate time to improving a skill, getting something, or building up an asset, which means you can get a free skill improvement, in which case would represent you are dedicating that month to learning something. So, for example, if Chase wanted to improve his photography more, he could say he's dedicating that month to, learning more about photography, and he would get a free reroll. If you wanted to try to go through black markets and get some rare elephant hunter's gun to deal with the big meanies that are coming up, that would be dedicating your time to an item, which you could get. You're not necessarily going to be able to get a, you'd be able to get some very interesting things that way, but there are some things that are going to be out of your grasp. Finally, you can also try to build a relationship with an NPC, which would give you an asset. Depending on what roles you make, it will depend on what this asset's relationship is to you, but they can, of course, provide the support that an NPC would be able to provide. But that's how you're going to spend your time. You can choose one of those three options, as well as you might have something else in mind. Again, you've got a month. What your character does during that month is up to you. The other thing we're going to talk about is how you spend your gold coins. Now, gold coins traditionally can be spent one of three ways, similar to the way you can spend your free time. A free skill improvement. You spend 1 gold coin, you get a 1d10 roll to add to your skill. You can also use it to get an item of note. Now, gold coins can actually get even crazier stuff than spending time. But depending on what you're asking for in an item, so say you want a grimoire, it's going to cost you probably more than 1 gold coin, depending on what you're asking for. If you just want an elephant rifle, probably 1 gold coin. If you want a grimoire to expand your spellcasting, that's going to be more expensive. And finally, you can buy NPCs with gold coins. NPCs are available at 3 different levels of gold coin expenditure. For 1 gold coin, you can get an NPC that you can call up and ask for advice and their professional expertise. They will not ever meet you in person. They won't be able to come investigate a site. They're basically just somebody who will loan you their opinion or their advice over the phone. At 2 gold coins, you get somebody who's a little more dedicated to your cause, somebody who not only will pick up the phone for you and give you what advice they can, but they also, if you are in the area, roughly the area that they live in, they can also show up and be on site to help you out. So say, for example, you're measuring Bigfoot tracks in North Dakota, and you've got an NPC that lives in South Dakota. He would be able to make the drive up to North Dakota and help you measure those Bigfoot tracks. They are not permanent parts of your party, and they will not travel too far from where they're located. However, at 3 gold coins, you more or less get a permanent addition to the party. These people can and will travel with you. They will always offer their professional advice, and they can join the party on their adventures. They will not always be with you. These are NPCs with their own lives and their own agendas, but most of the time, they will be able to participate in your adventures as a full-fledged member of the party. So, with that in mind, Sage, how are you spending your time during your month off, to begin with? What would Sage do with a month of free time?
Well, first of all, she's going back to her hometown and just spending time with a family she has adopted, I guess you could say.
Her adoptive family? Okay.
But she will also be, as much as she can, trying to get as much information from Delta Green, Hutchinson, or Lakowski about the incident where she was found.
Oh, so you're going to go after information.
Always.
Okay. Well, Sage is unfortunately going to be a little disappointed in character, as the methods through which she contacts Lakowski and Hutchinson, she more or less gets a "we'll look into it." And it almost seems as if they have stonewalled her research. However, out of character, I will say you're going to get that information, just not right now. So you will be able to pressure them, call them up every day, get on their ass, and it seems to be saying, no, we're not able to help you. We're not able to help you. But as the GM and out of character, because I don't want you walking away from disappointed from this, you're going to get what you want. But I have something planned for that. So, okay. So you're spending your month getting information about the incident leading to your adoption, your orphan, what orphaned you. How are you spending your gold coins?
I mostly shoot. I really should have thought about this before.
That's the reason I tagged everybody a week ago to start thinking about this.
I know. I have
All right.
9 altogether.
You have 9 altogether.
Oh, this is going to be bad. Is there any way, how many gold coins? Let's say in my digging, I find some other information, though, that I might be able to blackmail either Hutchinson or Lukowski for. How much would I be able to do something like that for gold coins? Not for information yet, since you said it was going to come up later, but in my digging.
Right, trying to get information on them.
Would I come across information on them that I wouldn't want to use, like information that I wouldn't want to blackmail them for that, but I might be able to, like at the during a mission or something like that, I'd be able to use it as extra leverage or anything.
I'm gonna go ahead and say for Lukowski, you really don't need much in the way of leverage. At the end of last session, he picked up a heroin habit. So during your investigation, you'd be able to find out about that pretty easily. That's not going to cost you a gold coin at all. As far as Hutchinson is concerned, I can English. I'm actually, for the moment, going to say no, you're not going to be able to spend gold coins on getting blackmail on him. Mostly because you wouldn't really have the connections to do so. But I'm going to add a big fat word at the end of that you're going to like. The big fat word I'm going to end of that is you don't have the connections to find that information yet. You'll be making those connections soon, but you do not have them yet. So if you want to save those gold coins for later, that's always possible. But you're going to need to, if you want to spend them right now, that's not where you're not going to be able to spend it on that.
Okay. I guess since I was actually going to spend quite a few gold coins on hopefully doing that, I will go ahead and if I can, you said you could then use a few of them to upgrade a few skills.
Yes, you can use it for a free skill advancement where you don't have to try to roll above your skill. You just roll 1d10 and add that to the skill.
Okay. Then I would like to go ahead and add my spot hidden.
Okay, go ahead and let's see. That's going to bring you down to 8 coins. And go ahead and roll 1d10. That's going to be 6 to your spot hidden.
Actually, can I add 2d10s to my stealth?
Yep, that's going to cost you 2 gold coins, which will bring you down to 6. And that'll add 10 to your stealth.
Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and add 1 more to my climb.
Okay, and that'll bring you down to 5.
And then I will probably think about the other 5 if I have time, or if somebody gives me an idea, I will probably go with that if I can.
Well, I will say right now, because you're not going to get another opportunity to spend gold coins after this, not until the next mission is complete.
Okay.
Well, aside from, if you want to get that free bonus dice or some other action during the role play, but to spend gold coins to advance a skill. What I will say is that if you want something that's more or less storyline altering, something big, like blackmail on a major character, really that's probably going to cost you in the realm of 3 to 4 gold coins. And you currently have 5. Now, of course, do keep in mind, gold coins are also used for bonus dice on important rolls and stuff during roleplay, so you might probably want to save a couple. But I'm just giving you sort of a reference frame for now, because I know you want to save up for that blackmail.
Um. So in my digging, there's no way I'd come across any grimoire, right, for that?
Not without spending gold
No.
coins.
Okay. How many gold coins? 3, right?
Depends on what you're looking for in the grimoire. Because there are tomes that would teach you the basics of spellcasting, which would give you some basic Cthulhu mythos, as well as potentially the ability to spontaneously cast magic, which is what you've seen Parvana doing so far. But they would not teach you any spells. Spells are much stronger than spontaneous magic. If you want to cost something that's going to teach you spells, that's going to be more expensive. So what you're really looking at right now is if you want to just be able to spontaneously cast magic and you want the Cthulhu Mythos advancement, that's going to be 2 gold coins. If you want to try to get some spells out of it as well, that is going to be 3 or 4 gold coins. Because magic is very powerful. I also will say, when you get this first advancement and learn how to cast spell, you're only going to get 1d10 Cthulhu Mythos. You might want to use a gold coin to advance your Cthulhu Mythos because it's starting at 0.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and do that.
Okay, so which option are you buying? Because you're going to need the grimoire to learn in the first place.
If I have 5 more, could I go ahead and be stupid and do both?
You could. You absolutely could. You could spend. You could. Well, what you'd want to do is get 1 grimoire. So, like, if you want to go for the bigger option and get the tome that has spells in it, that would be 3 gold coins or 4. And then you could spend, of course, a gold coin on advancing your Cthulhu Mythos to give you a higher chance of casting that spell.
Okay, let's go ahead and do that.
Okay, do you want the 3 or 4 option? If you spend 3 gold coins, it will have 1 spell that you can learn in it. If you go for the 4 option, it will have 1d3 spells in it.
I'll go ahead and do the 4 because I feel like being stupid. Yeah.
All right, go ahead and take 4 coins off and roll 1d3 for me, please.
Sorry, one second.
It's all right.
Okay, there's my D3.
Okay, wow, you're actually going to get 3 spells out of it. We'll talk about that later, because I'm probably going to sit down with you after game, and we're going to go through the spell list to find you some appropriate spells. But first off, roll 1d10 to see how much your Cthulhu Mythos is going to go up. That's not a promising number. So you are only at 2% for Cthulhu Mythos. Now, do you want to spend your last gold coin on advancing your Cthulhu Mythos?
Sure, I might as well be stupid.
All right, so that's going to be your last gold coin, and that will be 1d10 to your Cthulhu Mythos. It's going to bring your Cthulhu Mythos up to 6%.
That was painful. Okay.
It happens. But you do know 3 spells, so go ahead and mark that down. Tome spells and artifacts. Knows 3 spells. Mind, locust, later. Okay. In that case, you are spent on gold coins, Sage. And that moves us down to Anderson.
Yo.
Alrighty. How are you going to spend your time? First and foremost, you got a month off.
Remind me again of the options. It's developing a skill, making friends with somebody who I can use, like an NPC, and then the other thing was what?
Getting a rare piece of gear. Something very difficult to obtain, but potentially powerful.
So she's probably going to spend her time increasing her brawl combat, so lots of more combat training.
Okay, so hand-to-hand combat training, that's a good option. Go ahead and roll 1d10 and add it to your brawl. You're going to get 5 more to your brawl. Bring you up to 32.
On the shield again.
Pretend that didn't happen.
Good job. All right, you have 4 gold coins to spend.
4? 3.
3?
3.
Scott says 4 on my sheet.
I will go for your sheet over mine.
Yeah. Go ahead. You've got 4. How are you going to spend them?
Let's see here. We have 2 spellcasters.
Oh wow, lucky timing on the block there. They've got
Yeah,
Baron
plus,
now.
you've got a little bit low power for magic. No offense.
No, yeah, I agree with that.
Perhaps they're not. Yeah.
Is there any way to actually increase like a base stat?
Yes, a gold coin would increase the base stat. I can go for that.
Let's increase dexterity.
Okay, go ahead and roll 1d10. That'll bring you down to 3 gold coins.
Aw.
It happens. You know what? Reroll it. Just reroll it. There you go.
All right, so we've got 2 now.
You've got 3 gold coins left.
Oh, right, that was my first one.
Mhm.
I want to increase sleight of hand.
Okay. Go ahead, roll 1d10. Add 4.
58 plus 4 is 62.
Yes, it is.
Just double checking my math.
Mhm.
Let's see. I've been going back and forth on wanting to increase firearms and submachine gun just because there is no chance I'm gonna be able to like roll over that, except when it comes to the actual fighting mechanic, and then I will always roll over it and probably fumble. So
But you can't account for the rolls of the dice. And to be fair, your firearms at 84 is really high. It's really
Yes.
high and really good. I'll be perfectly honest, I would not increase that. In fact, I know exactly what stat I would increase if I were you, although I'm the GM, not you. But you've got a 35 in spot hidden. Only a 35.
oh, that's a good point. Yeah, I'll spend another one there.
Okay. That'll bring you down to 1 gold coin. And you're up to 39 now.
And I'm gonna add
There's
the
something to
last
do.
to stealth.
Okay. I'll bring you down to 0. And your stealth up to 59.
Oh my god, I can't type. There we go. Okay.
Alrighty, so that does it for your gold coins. You've spent all you got. In that case, that moves us down the list one more to Miss Gwen.
Well, I got some shit I want to do. All right.
All right, first and
so-
foremost, how are you spending your free time?
Yeah, so Gwen's gonna get back to her home in New York with Alvar and Rocket, and she's gonna make sure that Rocket gets the care that he needs to heal up his cracked rib. And she's gonna spend an obscene amount of time at the gym, like a lot. Which also brings me to another question. I am gonna bring Alvar on as an NPC. Does he get free time in this rest period to account
No.
for?
Mm-mm.
Okay, I am gonna.
He's not going to get the free skill advancements. Now, if he had been at the start of this mission, so at the end of next mission, he will get
Gotcha.
skill advancements, but not now. He's
So
not
it
gonna
is
get the
fair
free
then to
skill
assume that
advancements.
Rocket
Now,
does
if he had
get
been at
skill
the start of this
advancements,
mission,
or at
if you
least
want,
free time.
yes,
Okay.
if you want to spend a gold coin on your NPC, you can.
Oh, I have to spend a gold coin for them to even, because like, okay, what I had in mind was that Gwen is spending her time at the gym, which I'm gonna equate to advancements and stuff in a second here. If she also is taking part of that time to also kind of essentially buff up Rocket, does he not get not the gold coin version of advancement, but the how he's spending his free time advancement?
No, because otherwise it's going to be a clusterfuck once we start getting NPCs involved, where we're sitting here being like, well, how's the NPC spend his free time?
All right,
So,
fair enough.
no. If you want to increase your NPC skills, it's going to be 1 gold
He
coin.
spends his time being a good boy.
Well, okay, so for Gwen, she's gonna spend her time at the gym, and I want that to equate to her buffing up her dodge skill.
Her dodge skill?
Yeah, can I do that for the rest period?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
So go ahead and roll 1d10 to get your dodge skill up. Just going to bring you up to
I'll take it.
56.
Whoops, that's a 7. All right, 56.
Okay.
And then, let's see, that takes care of
I'm going to go ahead and
that.
take away 3 gold coins because I know you want
Oh.
to spend them on Alvar.
Yeah, take away 3 gold coins for Alvar. So
right.
basically, that is, Alvar has pretty much insisted that he come along. There wasn't a fucking discussion about it.
Yep.
And then, let's see. I also want to spend, kind of piggybacking on Gwen no-lifing the gym, a gold coin to advance her strength, if I can do that.
Yes, you may. That's going to bring you down to 4 gold coins. You're up to 70 strength now.
That's my girl. All right. And then, let's see. She's also going to spend.
Get an ancient Egyptian baseball bat.
No. Okay, if I wanted to get her to get equipment that is very easy to come by, like go to the store and buy it, does that require a
No.
gold coin?
Absolutely
Okay.
not. No. Gold
Then
coins are
she
for
is
stuff
going to
that's
go-
a little rarer.
Gotcha. She's gonna go get herself a taser,
Okay.
and she's going to get I mean, it's a little bit less hard to come by, but I wouldn't call it rare. But tell me if I need a gold coin for this. She's going to get an actual police canine unit vest that is bulletproof for the dog.
I'm not sure they're going to have those available yet.
Mm, okay.
Also, actually,
Could she get one designed?
she could. Hang on. Also, the taser.
Mhm.
Looking at that now, that was under development starting in 1969.
Ah, shit. All right.
It's
So
currently in its experimental phase. That being
Well-
said,
mhm.
FBI.
you could get one for a gold coin. Since that's basically what I mean by you spend a gold coin. This is a
Gotcha.
rare item that is in its experimental phase, but considering that Gwen has sort of the what's the word?
Connection to the police
Connection.
department.
Well, connections to the military at this point
Yeah.
in time. It was originally as part of NASA that
Mhm.
it was developed through. So you could make the connections to get one. It would be experimental, but it would cost you a gold coin.
Okay. How many do I have remaining, not including that?
4.
4.
If
Sorry,
you want, if you want the taser though, it's going to bring it down to 3.
Great. Okay. Quick question though, since it's in an experimental phase, is this going to have any potential performance issues?
I'm going to need to do more research. Right now, I'm inclined to say no,
Okay.
but considering battery technology in the 60s, there could be issues.
Okay. Because I would like to get it if it's equivalent more or less to the modern taser, just in the raw fundamental functionality. But if it's something where it's so early on that like 1 out of 3 times that you use it, it catches fire, I don't really want to do that.
Also, no, it's not going to be like 1 out of 3 times. It just might like have a malfunction at 95 instead of 99. Also, for the record, I want to make sure we're talking about the same thing. Are we talking about a taser, which is an actual pistol that shoots electronic electrodes into an enemy?
Uh-huh.
Or are we talking about a stun gun, which is just the thing that has the 2 electrodes and you stab them with it in melee.
Shit, I was talking about a stun gun.
Okay, stun gun.
Tesla cannon.
Yeah, tasers was developed starting in 1969 as a private project, not by NASA. He was a NASA researcher, but it was something he wanted to do for himself. And the prototype wasn't completed until 1974.
Okay.
But that's not a stun gun.
Yeah.
Stun guns are earlier.
Yeah, stun gun is earlier in development because they had the old-fashioned cattle prods.
Nice. All right.
So
I mean, I guess
more
if
or
that
less what you're
wasn't,
gonna
I could
get-
just go to a cattle prod.
Yeah, well, more or less that's what you're going to get is an old-fashioned baton-style cattle prod.
Okay, but does that require a gold coin then? Because it's
If-
more.
Actually, no, that specifically would not because that's commercially available.
Gotcha. All right, so I'm grabbing one of those.
Okay, so yeah,
Um,
you could totally get a. Hang on, I'm going to post this in the Hippie Thulu chat to show you basically what you're getting. That. Oh, that's not it at all. Hang on.
I got you, bro.
Seems
What
a
are
little
you doing?
modern.
God damn it, I
you
did the same thing!
Yeah, you did the same thing. This is what you're getting.
Okay. How big is that?
That'd probably be about 1.5 feet long.
All right. Huh. Okay. Yeah. See, I had in my head a little bit more of that first image, but that is very modern, so that's understandable. I'm okay with that though.
Okay. Yes, that's going to be commercially available. That does not require a gold coin. That's something you could get because that's 1950s technology, in fact.
To interject, I think that's actually better because it puts you further away from whatever thing you're trying to shock.
Yes.
That's true. Hang on a second. I'm trying to do a little quick research I didn't really think of doing before this stun gun.
While
debacle.
she's
Gee, it's
looking
almost
into
like
that, can I tell a
somebody said a
short
week ago.
story?
No. I was fucking prepared with what I wanted to do, but I didn't think about if the stuff I wanted was available in this time period. So.
All right. You do your research. Jay,
Yeah.
go ahead.
Okay, so this is related to cattle prod specifically. So my father was born in 1957. Sometime in the early 60s, when he was about 8 or 9 years old, he was in a hardware store with his father. This is back when hardware stores really did sell everything, and that includes all the farm equipment too. Well, he came across a cattle prod, and it looked fun, and he knew that it shocked, and he'd done the whole 9-volt, on the tongue thing before. He
Oh,
thought it'd be
no.
the same thing. So at 8 years old, he licked a cattle prod in a hardware store, got knocked
hurt.
across the aisle, and ran screaming out of the store.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So.
No, my
as it
actual
turns
dad.
out,
My actual dad in real life.
Okay. I figured that out after like a little while, but at first I was like, anyway, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Darby.
Yeah.
Yeah. So as it turns out, armored vests for canine unit dogs are incredibly fucking new. Like just before
Yes.
the 2000s, pretty much.
That being
So-
said, well, here's the thing, Darby, because I knew exactly where you're going with that.
Uh-huh.
What they did have at the time was ballistic nylon, because actually
Right.
this was a conversation me and Jay had recently about ballistic materials available at the time. You would be able to get your hands on some ballistic nylon and maybe steel plates and make a custom something for dog meat. I mean,
Rude.
Rocket. It's not
Yeah, but
my
yeah,
fault. All
that-
German Shepherds look alike.
Oh wow, you fucking racist.
Anyways, but
yeah, but
yes,
no, that is exactly where my head was at.
yes, it's not going to be quite as effective as a modern thing, but it would work. That would actually get your dog some armor.
Mhm.
But that's going to cost you probably 2 gold coins, because that's
Oh, I do.
not only are you trying to get ballistic nylon, a military material,
Uh-huh.
but you're also going to have to get somebody with the knowledge to put it all together and make it work.
Okay, but can I just test an alternative real quick?
Hmm.
What kind of stuff did they have in that realm for people at the time?
Basically, what you're looking at is ballistic nylon and steel plates, or they did have some very, I don't want to say crappy, but some very early ceramic plates at the time, but those were very new and mostly U.S. Special Forces and U.S. Airmen at the time for the ceramic plates. Kevlar had not been invented yet, so we are really only talking about ballistic nylon.
To
Okay.
clarify, because this was a discussion I was part of, they did have boron carbide plates, which were very good, but this was before high-pressure sintering, so they were very fragile. So they were great against bullets. They were really bad against bumping into things and being dropped.
Yes.
Oh.
So, kind of where my head's at on this is, would it be possible for Gwen to just get one for people and just kind of put a few zip ties on it or whatever so that it fucking fits the dog? Like, not really actually fucking sew a specific harness for the dog, but get just kind of, I don't know, haphazardly modify a human one so it works.
You know what? I'm gonna say sure, but I'm gonna
Mhm.
tell you right now, it's not going to be as effective as something made for the dog. It's
Fuck,
not
all
going to
right.
be as. It's not going to provide as much protection.
Okay, let's see. I've got 4 gold coins left. Okay, let me actually
Actually,
table
wait a
that
second.
real quick.
Jay, no, I'm gonna revise what I said because of a previous ruling. It would only cost you 1 gold coin.
I was gonna ask
There-
about a refund.
yeah,
If that's...
there is yes, there is a precedent that I have laid down before. It is going to cost you only 1 gold coin. So
Thanks, Jay.
I lied. That was a mistake on my part.
No, you're fine. Actually, let's just do that then if it's only 1, so we'll knock that out. We're down to
Yeah.
3.
Okay, so you're down to 3. Go ahead and put in Rocket's gear list that he's going to get. You can call it whatever you want, ballistic doggo vest, but it's going to be worth 6 points of armor
Okay, hang on.
because it's more protective than a helmet, but not quite as protective as a heavy Kevlar vest.
Okay, and then the last thing that I wanted to address was you said that for NPCs, I can spend a gold coin for them to do things in this time, correct?
Yes,
Specifically Alvar, because he wasn't involved.
yes.
Given his connections with the military, some of the police force, more specifically having any sort of history with Hutchinson and Delta Green and everything, can he try to get ideally I would love for him to have a connection with someone that he used to work with that is kind of like a guy on the inside for him that he can touch base with as like a 1 gold coin NPC.
Okay, but what specific skill set are you looking for?
Yeah,
Because yes, that is a very good use of your 1 gold coin NPC. Somebody who could, maybe give you a little bit of insider info, but not going to be able to help you out physically. That
Right.
would work. But specifically, are we talking a man on the inside of Delta Green?
yes.
Are we talking a man on the... Okay, you want a man on the inside with Delta Green.
Like, the way I had it in my head was like, basically, this guy used to be really good friends with Alvar, and they haven't really... They've been kept in loose communication since Alvar left Delta Green, but he could still call on him for favors. Maybe he fucking saved his life or some shit like that. I don't know.
Okay, well, if you want actual favors, like, you can,
Well, by favors, I mean, like, can you tell me what you've heard about XYZ, not actual, like, him
Okay.
doing things for him.
So
information.
basically, the information you're looking for is that this guy is still working with Delta Green, but he's got his sort of ear to the ground, and he's in the know and can sometimes share what's going on around the rumor mill.
Yes.
Okay, yes, that is going to be 1 gold coin. Give me a name.
I will get back to you on that, can I?
Okay,
I'm bad at names on
Darby will get back to me. Delta Green Insider. All right.
Name
So-
Chase.
Samax.
Well,
that would be perfect.
that actually, I mean, that's something I haven't brought up yet because I was going to bring it up with Dan, but Chase is still alive.
the spot.
You actually could spend gold coins to make him an NPC.
I know you want to leave, but we are tying you down in this corporation.
Gwen, stop calling me. Stop it.
Yup.
Stop it. We're done. I don't know. I can't help you
said
fix
you
the
were coming
sink.
back with
I
smells
can't.
like years ago. Where the fuck is my beer?
But yes, that is an option. Is actually getting Chase as an NPC.
Yeah.
You can't
but
have
the
Jay
thing
as an
is,
NPC.
No, you cannot.
with my characters, there's no real reason for them to call
Yeah.
upon Chase. So if someone else wants to do that, that's between them and their god.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've got 2 gold coins remaining, and I think that wraps it up for me. Gwen is getting super fucking swole. Doggo is getting, well, he was gonna get, actually, fuck, that was the other thing. Now that I have 2 gold coins remaining, which is more than I banked on, can I roll for Doggo to increase his dodge as well, because he was getting swole with Gwen?
Yes.
Okay.
So that'll bring you down to 1 gold coin and roll 1d10. And that's
Rocket.
going to actually go on Rocket.
Rocket's just
Rocket.
sitting there, like,
48.
doing, like,
Yep.
squats. Ha ha ha.
Doggo
Pun.
squat. Yes, he's doing doggo squats. All right, so you have 1 gold coin remaining. Do you want to
Yep.
spend it or bank it?
Banking it. That's it for me. Carry
That's
on.
a good idea. All right, Dan.
All right. What do I got to do for magic?
Well, you, first and foremost, got to roll 1d3 for me.
Bitchin'.
You actually, the grimoire you palmed from Hutchinson has 3 spells in it. Like I said, I'm going to go over this with you and Angie later, because it's going to take us forever to go through what spells you guys want and what's going to be theme appropriate, because there's a lot of spells available, but you are going to be able to learn 3 spells from the grimoire you already have. That being said, if you want to improve your Cthulhu mythos, or if you want to get another grimoire and maybe even more spells, that's a good way to spend gold coins.
All right, let's start with how Parvana is going to spend her time, though.
Yes, that's actually a very good point. Let's start with that.
I'm sorry, I spaced out. Did Gwen develop Chase as an asset?
No,
No.
nobody has developed Chase as an asset.
Essentially, I want to have Parvana spend her time building her own kind of, like, because this is pretty much after training, this is the first time she's been back in the organization proper.
Mhm.
I want her to spend her time building her own allies, and kind of finding her own way in the organization. And probably the best way to do that, yeah. Yeah, I guess we're more Delta Green at this point.
I mean, you still technically work for the CIA.
No, I'm going to say this is more within the CIA.
Okay.
And what better way to represent that than building Chase as an asset? Because who else could show her around?
There you go. So that's not even going to cost you a gold coin, but that gets Chase as actually a tier 3 asset, considering the relationship you've built with him. Normally, if you wanted to build up a higher relationship than tier 1, you'd have to roll for it. But since there has been enough in-character interaction to build up a relationship with this particular person, automatic tier 3. So, but that will be story dependent on whether or not he's participating. Da-da-da-da-da. So that's our first tier 3, actually second tier 3, because we are also getting Alvar. I forgot to put him on the list.
Yeah.
The next thing, Parvana is going to. This might take a gold coin, but it might take more depending on what you think. Parvana is going to buy Lukowski's loyalty with her medical knowledge of opiates.
Well, that is going to cost you a gold coin, because that's not what you're doing with your time. That's moving on into, extra stuff. You know what? Actually, since that's going to cost you a gold coin, you don't even need to roll for that. You are now Lukowski's dealer. Since
Excellent.
it's been established that he does have a heroin problem now. You're his dealer. You've got some good dirt on him in a very physical sense. Well, not that kind of physical, but all right. That's going to bring you down to 4 gold coins, and I'm going to make a note of that. Lukowski. All right.
All right.
So you've still got 4 gold coins that you can spend.
Okay, I am open to suggestions, people.
Get a dog.
As I said, I wanted to spend more time thinking about this, but stuff.
Let me take a look.
As the GM,
Yeah, GM, tell me.
my biggest advice would be to pump up your Cthulhu Mythos, because you're going to be leaning on that a lot to cast these new spells you've got. Because you do have to back up into the magic rules for a second. The first time you cast a new spell, you have to pass a Cthulhu Mythos roll, otherwise the spell is wasted. After that, you do not need to roll Cthulhu Mythos to cast that spell anymore. You roll willpower,
All
depending
right.
on what the spell is.
I am going to. I will spend 1 gold coin for now to pump that up. Oh,
Okay.
but continue the explanation. I shouldn't.
Well, just as a rule, with spontaneous casting, you have to roll Cthulhu Mythos every time. You are literally using the Cthulhu Mythos to create an effect. But with spells, since it's a ritual, something that becomes very practiced for you, only the first time you cast it requires the actual Cthulhu Mythos roll. After that, you just do the effect. I mean, of course, if there's words, incantations, and such that you need to do, you have to do that. But you do not need to roll Cthulhu Mythos after the first time you cast a spell. That being said, sometimes you still have to cast like a willpower roll, or you need to do something specific to make the spell happen, and that will take effect every time you cast it. But just as a rule, if you want to cast spells, you need to pass that initial Cthulhu Mythos. That being said, if you fail the Cthulhu Mythos roll the first time you cast that spell, you lose the magic points and sanity associated with casting the spell, and you can push that roll.
Okay.
If you push it, then bad things can happen. If you don't push it, then the spell just fizzles out to nothing.
Well, let's see how much more insane.
Go right ahead. Give me that 1d10, please.
That's not very insane.
No, re-roll that. We've been re-rolling once tonight, so go ahead and re-roll it.
Okay, that's better.
That's
Wow.
better. That's going to bring you up to 30% Cthulhu Mythos.
That's pretty good.
That's pretty good. It means you basically have a 1 in 3 chance that the first time you cast a spell, it'll work. And after you pass that 1 in 3 just once, all you have to do is pass it once for a spell. You never need to pass it again for that spell. So 30% is pretty freaking decent. Okay, so you've got 3 gold coins left.
Mm-hmm. Three gold coins left. All right. So I've got a pretty good chance, and I really don't want to pump up Cthulhu Mythos that much, both because that comes with a pretty severe cost.
Yes, it does. However, what I will say you can do is, since we've been using gold coins to pump up base statistics, you could actually pump up your power to a maximum of 95, because you are human, you can't go above that. But you could pump up your power, which would increase the max sanity. Not going to increase your current sanity. You would still need to have to come up with something to recover that sanity, but it would pump up your max sanity.
All right. I'm gonna say, yeah, I'm gonna do that.
Okay, so that's going to be a gold coin into power. Go ahead and roll 1d10 for me, please. And hope it's 5 or above. Reroll that 1.
Parvati is the most powerful person.
Well, she is on the second try.
That didn't budge my sanity there.
All right, that's gonna max you at 95. Sorry.
Yeah,
I'm actually gonna call a 5-minute break real quick. Yeah, I'll be right back.
okay. That actually may not give me any more sanity.
Well, your sanity is equal to your power, isn't it?
Minus Cthulhu Mythos. And I think that's only starting. Maximum is 99 minus Cthulhu Mythos.
Alright, 1 second.
That means your max sanity should actually be 65.
Okay, well, Sheet's having some fun.
Yeah. I just don't think it takes Cthulhu Mythos into account.
I know it does.
It does? What's it doing then?
Bump that up to 65, it drops it down.
She could be bugged.
Oh, it's not even linked to that anymore.
It works. Nope. There we go. Yeah, it works, or seems to.
Yeah.
It still shows your maximum is 69. That's interesting. Odd.
No, I'm screwing with my power here, and it's not changing.
It's not changing your magic points. Oh, there it goes.
I guess it changed my magic points.
19. 69's close enough.
Yeah.
It did remove your move rate, though.
Parvati moves through time now.
So Jesus Christ, 70, 70, 70, 70, 95.
Yep. Yeah. I really probably shouldn't have spent that gold coin. That was probably completely superfluous.
Oh well. I mean, you could have bought more Chaos Theory.
Oh, I've got plans.
Now I'm realizing on my character that I've been making, I forgot all about the language bonuses. Oh well.
I'm trying to find a fucking picture for Alvar so I can make
Okay.
a pog for him, and all it's fucking coming up with is hipsters with beards, and it's making me sad.
We could get a picture of Liam. Liam could be your dad.
Does Alvar have a man bun and vape?
Oh,
no, he doesn't. No, Liam can't be my dad. No, Alvar doesn't have a man bun. Please keep fucking talking about genuine things.
Okay, I'm back. Is everybody back?
Yes.
All right. Sorry about that. Apparently we needed to move a TV. Anyways. Dan, you've still got 3 gold coins to spend. How are you spending them?
So you remember how she kind of... So what, for the, for kind of the samples we brought back, did we bring back any of, like, the... did we bring back any, like, biological samples of the things we found?
The hand.
The hand.
The hand.
That was turned in, though. That was
Yeah.
handed over to Hutchinson.
But
All right. Well, if that's the case, I think that she's going to spend kind of some of the rest of her time via gold coin, working on some research into this new way of understanding the world.
Okay, so that's going to be your chaos theory.
Yes.
That'll be a gold coin. Go ahead and roll your 1d10 for me, please.
Nice.
Alrighty.
How cheap are you gonna let me be?
What do you mean?
Because doing research is how she recovers sanity.
I was gonna get to that. Hold that thought. 'Cause that's a conversation I'm gonna have with everybody once we're done with gold coins. But hold that thought.
All right.
That thought.
Okay. And then I'm gonna hold on to the last two because I can't really think of anything else that.
Okay. So that leaves Jay. Which, Jay, I got a question for you.
I'm here. I'm sorry, I had to step out for just a second.
Oh yeah, no worries. But I got a question for you, Jay.
Okay.
Since we know Chase is stepping down and more or less becoming a tier 3 NPC,
Yes.
and you kind of want to keep your next character concept a secret, would you like to spend gold coins now, or would you rather talk to me about that in private later?
I will do that in private later, if that's okay.
That's fine. Okay. In that case, we are done with gold coins. So I'm going to get to that thing that I said I was going to talk about when we're done with gold coins. Everybody give me 1d10 plus 3. That's going to represent you getting some mental downtime, being able to find your center, and relax. Go ahead and add whatever you roll to your sanity.
All right.
High
Herman's
five,
back
Dan.
again.
High five, Angie.
Wow. So everybody's maxed out on sanity, apparently.
Oh man, I only needed 3. Like, I could have rolled literally 0 and been fine.
To be fair, on comparison, this is extraordinarily relaxing.
Yup. All right, so it seems everybody's back at max sanity. Lucky you guys. All right. Unless anybody else has any questions, or maybe they've had a second thought about gold coins they want to spend, that's going to conclude the rest period. And I want to say right now, once I'm done with this and we move into our next scene, you're not going to be able to go back and do this anymore. You will not be able to turn around and say, oh, but I just thought of something I really want to spend a gold coin on. Oh, as soon as we are done here, you're going to have to wait till the end of next mission to spend gold coins this way again.
This doesn't include me, I'm assuming.
No, this does not include you, because like I said, since I know you're keeping kind of your character concept close to the chest, you're a little excluded from this, although I'm probably going to grab you right after this and get right into it.
I was gonna say, can I grab you at some point and do Alvar's sheet?
Yes, we will be doing sheets for NPCs.
Okay.
Not sure if we'll get to that tonight, but I also need to grab a couple of you and do spells as well. So, got a bit of a to-do list. But like I said, concluding this, is there anything else anybody wants to do before we say we're done with this and there is no takesy-backsies?
Anderson wants to go and explore the world of potatoes.
Anderson's getting left behind on the next mission.
She's going to explore all of the places that offer potatoes and sample them all.
You get some time to yourself during your martial arts training to sample potatoes.
That's a
roll for
fucking
potatoes.
sentence.
Don't roll for potatoes. We're not spending any more time on this. You sampled the potatoes. That's it. Done.
She went to a special dojo in Idaho.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my god.
Idaho Joe.
Get out.
All right. In that case, we're moving on into season 3. Some of you may have already known what this next mission was going to entail based on the conversation you had with Hutchinson. Some of you may have chosen to forget because it was a very heated conversation. Everybody was kind of being an asshole. Mostly Hutchinson was being an asshole, but you guys were kind of assholes back. Not saying he didn't deserve it, but there was a lot of asshole going around. Asshole smorgasbord. But after you've had your downtime, your research has been thoroughly conducted. You've spent lots of time at the gym. You've trained up your martial arts skills, and you've established yourself as part of Delta Green. You would all be contacted, usually by phone. Maybe you would get a note passed to you. But you would be given a place and a time in upper state New York. And I've already forgotten the name of the fucking park because I'm an idiot.
Upstate New York, not upper state.
I don't give a shit. Fuck you. It's upper state now. It's
Give
my
him
universe.
the old upper stater.
This is a fantasy universe. It's upper state now. Just because you're going to be a brat about it. Anyways, you would get completely lose my train of thought. You would completely kill my train of thought. As you would get an invitation. Well, not an invitation. You would be told to come to a location on the outskirts of Harriman State Park in New York, just north of New York City. The address would be right there, and it would be relatively easy to find. However, before any of you received that notification, before anybody got that note or phone call, somebody among your party was going to be getting visitors first. Chase. We know you've gone off the radar. You've kind of hidden out to avoid working with Hutchinson again. Where exactly would you have gone? Describe where Chase is hiding out to me, please.
That would be southeastern Tennessee, the Pisgah region, mountains, banjos, mostly mountains. Because it's not too far from where he grew up, and certainly a place that he remembers a lot from his childhood. Camping trips, those kind of things. But more importantly, he's owned some property here for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And when I say some property, I'm talking probably several hundred acres. His side of the mountain, as his father used to call it.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not the most secretive place he could go, but it's definitely a place he would know better than anybody else.
Absolutely.
And he would see someone coming long before they knew that he was watching.
Oh, yeah. And I'm assuming you'd have like a little cabin set up out there?
There is a little cabin that's actually been there since the Conservation Corps started retaking these woods back at the turn of the century.
Okay. Well, more or less a week before the rest of the party would begin their phone calls and notices, Chase would see a U.S. Forestry Service vehicle, clearly marked, big old truck, start roaming up the trail towards his little cabin.
Now, this being Chase, he may have gone native, but that doesn't mean he's any less of a tech nerd. He'd pretty much know as soon as someone either opened the gate on his property or started driving on the road. Little lights flashing in a back room at the cabin. And Chase would sort of walk towards the front door, bring his wood chopping axe with him. Now, Chase has changed a bit. His usual long hair, turtleneck style. He has cut his hair very short. He's wearing a set of overalls and not much else. And he's smoking basically local hand-rolled cigarettes. And as he walks outside, he sort of embeds the head of the axe in the tree stump he's been using to split wood for the small wood-burning stove inside the cabin, and just kind of waits because he knows someone's coming to see him, because no one else lives on this property. So unless they're just vagrantly trespassing, and this isn't Forestry Service property, he knows someone's going to try to talk to him. It's just too specific.
Absolutely. And after those little lights went off in the back room, Not too long later, you would see this Forestry Service truck trundle up towards the edge of the property near the cabin and park. Not rolling straight up to the cabin, parking a bit of a ways away. And there would be a little bit of movement you would see inside the cabin before one man in the driver's seat stepped out. The man would step out and hold both hands above his head and turn around to show his back and then turn back towards Chase. The only thing he would have in his hands would be a manila folder that you can see slightly filled, not stuffed to the brim, but a thick manila folder. After sort of making this show, he would lower his hands and start walking over towards Chase.
Chase just kind of leans on the woodcutter's axe as the man kind of walks towards him. You're a long way from the highway, Chase says.
Yep, but I'm right where I need to be, Mr. Chasseur.
Funny, I was thinking you were trespassing.
Technically, you're right. I am. But I would like to have a conversation. I think you're familiar with who I work for, and I'm not interested in making this a game of cat and mouse. I'm with Delta Green.
Chase whistles, sort of a low whistle. That's bold. Probably the first person who said that outright. The other guy we almost had to torture.
Yeah, well, I'm here to have a no bullshit conversation. And the threat of torture is kind of why I've got the other two guys in the truck. They're armed. I'm not. But there has been some concern whether or not you would shoot a Delta Green agent on site. Personally, I'd rather just talk and come to a conclusion, especially since I'd like to get your side of the story. But they do have guns.
Chase does not seem concerned. All right,
Man's,
talk.
Man steps up a little bit closer so that it's within comfortable speaking distance. He's still staying well out of arm's reach since Chase is leaning on the axe. You see a gentleman who wears the U.S. Forestry Service uniform comfortably, but does look a little bit nervous. Otherwise, he's a relatively handsome gentleman. He does seem to have his mustache waxed in a style that was out of date about 3 decades ago. But he's not an ugly man. There is, however, one scar, gnarly thing, across his right cheekbone and leading to the upper half of his right ear. Completely gone, just left in a cauliflowered, gnarly stump. The man clears his throat and flips open the manila folder and starts pulling papers out. So, again, I don't feel like playing cat and mouse, and I don't feel like feeding you bullshit, and hopefully you don't feel like feeding me bullshit. You worked with Agent Hutchinson in South Vietnam. He turned in a report regarding your team that was less than flattering. In fact, it was very damning. His recommendation, more or less, was to leave you out here to rot, or, in case you became a threat, have you... how's it you spook types put it? What is it? Retired? Shot. Have you shot if you became a threat. But looking over what you actually turned in paints a bit of a different picture, because we've got... The man holds up his files sort of towards the away from the sun so that he can get a better look at them. Let's see. You turned in physical evidence of deep ones, photographic evidence, as well as an immense amount of paperwork and physical just implications of UWM's interference in the area. Altogether, I would say this, in my professional opinion, is one of the most successful intelligence missions we've ever conducted. So, first and foremost, before we go any further, I want to hear your side of the story. Mr. Chisser, what happened in South Vietnam?
Chase kind of takes the cigarette out of his mouth and just kind of throws it onto the stump. Please, it's Chase. Let's start this off the right way. We went into Phu Quoc. Well, more accurately, we left Hanover under the guise of a standard CIA observation mission. Observation, collect intelligence, etc. We were not informed that we could be facing any actual threat, let alone a supernatural threat. In a way, I understand that, but we weren't even told to prepare that there might be combat, or foreign agents, or anything that would have allowed us to make the requisitions necessary to do our jobs. Our team was effectively composed at the last minute of a wet work agent, a photographic technology and infiltration specialist, myself, a doctor, a very skilled and charming woman who I have no idea what Hutchinson decided would be of use of the mission, but at least she was intelligent enough to get through it, a German shepherd, and a woman who he had been using as a potential levering point against another asset. A pilot, of which her skills were necessary for all of 4 days. But she was sent on a deep cover mission in South Vietnam against what we later discovered, and only discovered, Ethiopia? Somalia? That there was even any existence of such beings.
Was that me?
No, that was not you. We had put our requisitions in by the time we discovered what we might potentially encounter. So when we arrived in South Vietnam, we had only the barest of equipment for an observation mission, as well as some odds and ends that Hutchinson had picked up somewhere. I'm not entirely sure what he felt we needed a man sniffer for, but I think it's best at times just to make him happy that he can accomplish anything some days. What I'm telling you is that beyond standard spook protocol of deniability, we were effectively sent into a war zone with no knowledge of what we could face, no understanding, no equipment, not even the basic of any sort of military or tactical backup, no additional training. And in fact, 2 members of our team, one of which was not even human, had received no training whatsoever. And this was Hutchinson's plan to observe the potential evidence that we discovered in Berlin in Phu Quoc. To be fair, the fact that any of us made it alive is impressive. The fact that we got out with as much intelligence as we did, encountering the things we did with our mind and our body still intact, is downright without equal. And when we returned, we were begrudgingly accepted the thought that we might require some downtime before our next mission. At that point, I had completed my assignment, at least as much as I had been given. I'm still officially a member of the CIA. That had never changed, even with Hutchinson's carte blanche that he walked in on our original deployment with. So I simply told him that that was not going to be acceptable, and left the team. You can ask the rest. They'll tell you pretty much the same thing. Some will be angrier than others, though they're still with him, which is surprising, but I don't know what Hutchinson's plan was in the first place. Perhaps it was a social experiment. Maybe that's what I've missed all this time.
No, I think it's simpler than that. The man speaks up, having been sort of cradled his paperwork and been writing down shorthand everything that you've been saying while paying attention. And sort of he clicks his pen and looks up at Chase. Personally, I think the man's just an asshole.
Chase doesn't disagree, but he doesn't say anything. Kind of goes humph, and he pulls the wood cutting axe out of the stump and kind of slings it over his shoulder. Not in a threatening manner, more of a just didn't want to lean on it any longer, and stretches it over his back.
The man flips through a couple more pieces of paper. Well, you'll be happy to know that I'm not the only one who noticed these discrepancies. And in fact, that Hutchinson wouldn't have me, if he was still in charge of this, he wouldn't have me here speaking at all. Rather, once our bosses noticed these issues in his report and the physical evidence, I've been called in to act as your new liaison. Hutchinson has been relieved of his command. He will be taking over offensive operations, well, that I'm not at privilege to discuss. But as of right now, I am the current Delta Green liaison operating for your team, and we will be acting against Hutchinson's suggestions.
Have you
Similarly,
tested him? Chase just kind of slips the axe down one side and lets it sort of flop against the side of the cabin. Have you tested him?
For the... What are you even calling it? I know what you mean, and the man gestures towards his face in sort of a...
I do believe they called themselves the Masked, which I'm sure is probably easier to say in German, but the translation makes it a little abrupt. But he obviously spent time in Germany. He seemed very disturbed by the fact that the UWM was there. In fact, even potentially mentioned they might be, but I don't know how much of that was not giving us the information we needed. He had plenty of opportunities to forewarn us about potential outcomes.
To be, again, perfectly honest with you, no, we haven't. We haven't really come up with a way to reliably test for it. While your report did show that those under extreme duress seem to reveal themselves, dousing all of our agents in gasoline and threatening to light them on fire doesn't really seem good for HR.
No, I have something I think you'll want to see. If you're willing to come inside, you can bring your friends if they like. They may not like what they see, however.
The man looks back towards the car, and you can see the door opening. He considers it for a moment before shaking his head. The men you do see two men get out of the car and sort of lean up against it, both of them visibly armed with hunting rifles, bolt actions, not military hardware. But these are men dressed in Forest Service uniforms, so they wouldn't really have assault rifles. But the man shakes his head and looks at you. No, lead the way.
Chase kind of brings him in. Inside, the cabin is quite small. Smaller still than what it looks on the outside because it's absolutely stuffed with electronic equipment. Ham radios, AM FM receivers, recording devices. If you can point to a wall, there's lights blinking on it. It literally looks like you walked into the Radio Shack on a ship. There's just machinery and electric devices all over. And on the table, there is a small black case. And Chase walks up to it and kind of unzips it and says, are you familiar much with surgical procedures?
The man shrugs. Bits and pieces. Basic first aid and triage, yes. Anything beyond that, no.
How about neurosurgery?
Definitely not.
See, this idea came to me inspired by a good friend of mine. She's unfortunately still stuck on that team with Hutchinson, at least last I heard. But I was thinking about her one day, and the thought hit me. So we understand that the mast, they tend to have some kind of preservation instinct. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I know obviously you're limited in what you can share for what Delta Green knows, but I think we can both agree that that's a safe assumption to make.
Well, I will tell you one thing right away. What we know is what you know. We have never encountered these creatures before. Your team was the first. So,
Well, in that case, Hutchinson is doing you a great disservice by holding information back from you. But beyond that, there is a procedure. It's a horrible one, in my opinion. Very popular nowadays in state psychological hospitals. I've heard it's already banned in Russia, however, which shows you just how strange and backwards we can be at times, considering the potential damage here. And he kind of flips the case over, and inside what look like two very long shish kebabs. Flat bladed instruments with black polymer handles. Do you know what these are?
the man looks at them and thinks for a moment before sort of you can see the color drain a little bit from his face and he gets pale. Are you talking about lobotomies?
Transorbital lobotomy, yes. These ones have been specially modified by myself, and he kind of picks it up. They've got like a Nixie tube and wires and a small capacitor, and it's been soldered to it. It looks almost like a prop out of a bad B sci-fi movie. And he kind of presses there's a switch on the side, and he presses it, and there's sort of this electrical buzz noise traveling through it. Yes, you see, this by itself, the discussion of what a transorbital lobotomy is terrifying by itself. But I don't think it's enough. If you're going to bluff, you don't have the choice to do a small bluff on these things. You need to go all the way. And that's where I came up with this. See, a partial transorbital lobotomy doesn't actually have to pierce the cranium. And the small wound that causes a very small crack of the bone, very little actual tissue damage, is recoverable 2 to 3 days at most. However, for someone who doesn't know, or an animal or a beast that doesn't know what this is, the act of taking a mallet and driving this modified transorbital probe into the facial cavity of a victim, provided suitable isolation from any other potential people, and proper NDA, those sort of things, should allow you to at least discover quite a few before such time as they would be able to understand what they were actually going up against. The only problem is, of course, you have to hurt a few people, but nothing they wouldn't recover from. It would at least give you a few people you can trust.
Man takes a deep breath and exhales out his nose. Jesus, I can see why people the higher ups are interested in keeping you.
The point that needs to be made is, you don't actually lobotomize the subject. That's just a waste of assets.
Right, no. But you give them enough of a shock to think that they are going to be forcing the creature to reveal itself in its self-preservation.
And in a sense, it will provide significant trauma, both psychological and otherwise. The main and important fact here is, you do not let other people know that this is a bluff. If that information gets out, it's no longer effective. So you would need to isolate its use severely.
Makes perfect sense to me. The man, still a little bit visibly disturbed by the idea, but coming to grips with it, sort of, again, picks up his paperwork and flips through it. Listen, Chase, right?
Yes.
You prefer Chase, not Mr. Chasser. I came down here with the authority to make you a couple of offers, depending on how our conversation went. Given the way things have gone, I feel first obligated that I should offer you this. And he holds out what looks like at first to be a very military style NDA contract. The kind you would have signed going into the CIA.
Right.
But, of course, you can see through the writing that this is more concerned about Delta Green and that there is, in fact, the little green triangle sitting in the corner of the paper. This is an offer of a job. Full-time, no more CIA work. You'd be coming back as an agent. Proper. Same rank as Hutchinson, same rank as me. You'd still, of course, have people to answer to. But you would be a full-blown Delta Green agent now. Not under anybody's thumb. There would be a probationary period where we wouldn't be able to let you in on some of the research projects, handling, of course, with any operational security, you understand. But this is one thing we're willing to offer you. I'm willing to offer you as well. You clearly understand the threats we're up against and have both the capability and ingenuity to deal with them.
I'm not against Delta Green. Never have been. In fact, I believe I took the knowledge of what we were facing fairly well. But I won't stand to be left with no info in the field. If I take this, I won't be under Hutchinson anymore?
Not at all. You will be in rank a equal. Of course, there's always some terms of seniority, but really, in terms of all paperwork and intelligence, you would be equal.
I'm not worried about rank. I agree with what you all are doing, and though I have my own concerns personally, I'm assuming you have a very good on-staff psychologist.
Absolutely.
Good. What you really need to talk to me about, and he kind of walks towards the man and takes the paper from him, puts his arm kind of around him and kind of walks back towards the door. What you really need to talk to me about is how big my office is going to be. And I think that's where we should call that scene.
Absolutely. Wow, I didn't even get to the second offer. So, all right. Then that's going to be that. And that's also going to be it for tonight. Next week, we will be getting into Season 3 proper. We will be having an introductory meeting where everybody else gets to meet Ranger Mustache and your new liaison to Delta Green. But that will be next week. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Thank you, everybody, for showing up. I hope you all had a good time tonight. I know it was a little bit mechanical and a little bit slow at the beginning because we were getting through our intermission phase, but we will be hitting things hard and heavy next week. Have a lovely evening and good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.
Night.
Bye.